And then special library or special archives team 1. You can go ahead and start your screen share.
Yay, I can see it. Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, and you can take it away whenever you're ready.
Needs to
Present. There you
full
go.
screen there. Oh, she is such a favorite of my family. Okay.
Me too.
All right. You all have full screen, right?
Yes, I can see it.
Excellent. Super.
Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Hi, everybody. I am Tamara De La Rosa. I am part of Special Archives Team 1, and I was the team lead, but our team assistant leader and researcher was Emily, and Diana and Glenn did our 2 action plans. So we did our strategic plan based on a fictional library that we created called the Lucille Ball Library. And excuse me, she's a personal favorite of mine, so I was very excited that we got to do our library on her. So just a quick thing on our external environment to make that personal connection with Lucy. We decided to base the library in the ranch house that her and Desir Inez established in 1941. And so, excuse me, we have it at their old ranch location in their home. And so people come from around the world can come and who are Lucy fans can come and visit. And so our organizational for the library is we have 21 full-time employees, and then we have volunteers as needed because the library does a lot of different events. And so to kind of keep a unified perspective among the staff, we make sure that everybody has the same training. And then just a quick overview of our budget. So we have the Lucille Ball Library connected to the real Lucy Desi Museum that's actually in New York. So the museum itself has a nearly $26 million budget to operate every year. And so every year the library gets $5.1 million to obviously pay staff, maintain the building and the collections, and then do different events and maintain technology at the library. And so 2 of our special features for our library are, one is actually a full-size theater because of everybody likes Lucy, I Love Lucy and her films. We decided that the library would have a full-size theater. So patrons can come and watch for a few minutes or whatever when they're visiting the library as well. And then as a special feature, we also have a streaming service for I Love Lucy and other Lucille Ball related films and shows. So similar to Netflix, patrons would have their library card and would log in and have a specific number of hours that they could watch Lucy related shows and movies. And then just a quick overview of our technology. Because we do have the theater and also an exciting virtual reality aspect of our library, we do have a lot of technology for staff and for patrons. So of course, you know, it's typical computers, but then also kind of having the television aspect and the virtual reality there too. And as for customer service, that's something that we really pride at the library because Lucy was really dedicated to her fans. And so that kind of connected to the idea of customer service at the library. And so, of course, being respectful of everyone and maintaining really the quality of the services, as well as protecting the patrons, whether it's privacy or just making sure they're getting the services they want. And of course, sharing the love of Lucy and Lucy-related knowledge with everyone who comes to the library. And the mission statement for the library is really connects back to Lucy and preserving her legacy and continuing that on because we wanted to kind of make it sort of like an archive to her. So we, of course, have artifacts relating to her and, excuse me, those services that can give books, artifacts, her shows. So there's a lot of different connections to Lucy based on how library patrons want to get to know her. And so with that, I will hand it over to Emily.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about our SWOTs and our strategies and support statements that will then tie into our action plans. So first, I'll start with strengths. Of course, as Tamara mentioned, we will have shared funding, resources, and collection materials with the Lucy Desi Museum, which is located in New York. This is such a strength for us because we will be able to have rotating exhibits available to our patrons based on whatever we share with the Lucy Desi Museum. We also, as Tamara discussed, will have that full-size viewing theater for community events and viewing parties. Of course, our staff will be knowledgeable, courteous, and practice excellent customer service. Our streaming service is one of our major high points of our library. It not only provides access to information resources to our patrons, but it's also a source of funding for the library and its projects. Next, I'll hit some of the weaknesses of our library. One of the major ones comes from our streaming service, and that's licensing. Contract negotiation is definitely expensive, and so that will be one of the challenges that our library will face, as well as the cost of updating and maintaining the technologies such as computers, monitors, scanners, movie screens, and of course that virtual reality, which we'll talk about a little bit more about later. We do have a limited collection that's specific to Lucille Ball, and so that's one of the things that we will focus on as one of our challenges as well. And because the building itself is an older building, maintenance is going to be really important for us. Next, I'll hit some opportunities. One of the biggest and most exciting opportunities for us is the fellowship opportunities for film and television students in nearby schools such as UCLA and USC. Diana is going to spend a little bit more time talking about that in our first action plan. We'd also like to expand our collections to include other actors and comedians. And one of the ways we'll do that is collaborating with the Lucy Desi Museum in their annual Lucille Ball Comedy Festival. We also want to further expand our community collaborations and partnerships, including but not limited to those fellowship opportunities. And then finally, we've got some threats. The first is a lack of security on the premises, which could be a bit problematic considering the archives that are so valuable to this community as far as Lucille Ball's possessions. Also, accessibility and traffic is a bit of a problem for us. The location is near LA, so traffic is a major stumbling block there. Glenn will talk a little bit more about that later. But also the location of the Lucy Desi Ranch is now a residential area. And so our location is a bit tenuous there. We also, as I discussed earlier, will have to deal with restrictive copyright and licensing agreements, and finally, rising maintenance and operations fees. Next, I'll cover our 3 strategies and support statements, 2 of which informed our action plans. This first one is one that we decided not to focus on as much, but is still really important for our project. So we, as I said earlier, we would love to expand our collection to focus not only on Lucy alone, but to include other actors and comedians, which is part of Lucy's legacy. We want to expand and develop monthly exhibits that include those actors. And one of the ways that we would love to do that is by using the talent that the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival in Jamestown, New York find. So this graphic is from the Comedy Festival, and all of these familiar faces are actual past headliners of that festival. So just some examples there. Our next strategy and support statement is about those partnerships. We want to partner with film and television programs to offer fellowships to students. Diana is going to spend quite a bit of time talking about this in the first action plan. And finally, our last strategy is outreach and advertising. This is where our VR program comes in. I think we have a really interesting VR program that makes the Lucille Ball Library even more unique than it already is, considering the focus of our library. And Glenn is going to spend a little bit of time talking about that. So I will turn it over to Diana next to talk about our first action plan.
So our first action plan is fellowship opportunities for students in film, television, and MLIS programs. Just to give you guys a brief history or like some fun facts on film archives, prior to 1920, society viewed film as entertainment and was not valued as an art form. Film producers during the early 20th century advocated for the creation of a film archive that evaluated films based on their historic and educational value, but as I previously mentioned, did not view film as an art form. Although filmmakers brought forth the idea of preserving film for its historic value, it was not until the revolutionary filmmaker D.W. Griffith's 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, that marked the moment when film could be taken seriously as an art form.
Diana, it looks like your microphone is muted.
Correct. I see that too. There you go. You're on.
Oh, did you guys hear the first part of the slide?
We heard you. I think it cut out after when you switched the slide.
Okay. Okay, so just let me restate that really quick. Just fast forward to 1935 when the Museum of Modern Art opened the Film Library. The Film Library's mission is to trace, catalog, assemble, preserve, exhibit, and circulate films to schools and museums in the same manner that museums today catalog, exhibit, preserve, and circulate artifacts so that film can be studied and enjoyed just like any one of the arts. So similarly to the Lucille Ball Library, the Lucille Ball Library is committed to preserving the legacy of Lucille Ball by housing, cataloging, circulating, and providing access to artifacts spanning her life and career, allowing patrons to fully appreciate the life's work of one of America's favorite comedians and actresses. The Lucille Ball Library will partner with local universities with film, television, and MLIS programs such as USC, UCLA, and eventually extend the fellowship opportunity to the 26 other film and television schools that are located within a 50-mile radius of the library.
Looks like you muted again, which is very interesting.
I'm not sure why that's
not
happening.
sure why that's happening either. And I
Yeah.
can't unmute you, so
Okay.
we'll just have to keep an eye on that.
Okay. So there are 4 main goals of the student fellowship. I'm just going to talk about them briefly. First, students will learn about archiving, cataloging, and film preservation. Second, students, it's going to provide professional development opportunities for archivists who are in the early stages of their careers, MLIS students who plan to become archivists, and students interested in working in film and television. Third is to introduce students to practical hands-on learning by working on projects developed by the library's archivists, preservationists, and librarians. And fourth, develop professional partnerships with UCLA and USC schools to promote the library's fellowship opportunities. So I just saw that I unmuted myself. Okay. So there's 6 steps in developing our action plan, each with its own timeline and responsibility that must be completed before the start of the fellowship. Step 6, evaluation/service, is very important because students will provide feedback that will identify areas of improvement. So a budget and evaluation. As mentioned earlier in our presentation, the Lucille Ball Library operates with a yearly budget of $5.1 million. Funding for student fellowships will be taken from the community outreach line item of the overall library budget. $27,000 will be issued to fund 2 student fellowships for 3 months. The Lucille Ball Library will measure the success of the fellowship program by reviewing surveys filled out by the students at the end of the program. So student surveys will help measure the success based on positive and negative feedback. So now I will hand it over to Glenn, and he's going to discuss our second action plan. Thank you.
All right. So for the second action plan, it focuses on outreach and advertising. And the idea here is to take a typical bookmobile and convert it into a mobile virtual reality station that we're calling the Lucille Ball Experience. And then you can see the picture of our awesome looking mobile VR station right here. So this is going to have 3 prongs. The first is going to be virtual reality viewing of popular I Love Lucy and the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, which is held in Jamestown, New York. And the second prong is going to be virtual reality browsing and interacting with the library and the museum's exhibits. And then the third one is going to be our mobile advertising and an extension of the library itself. Okay, so with the first one, we're going to have patrons come to the truck, and then they would strap their headsets on, and then they would be presented with a wall of episodes similar to, as you see in the graphic. Obviously, we're not going to have West Side Story and stuff. But the idea is that it allows them to immerse themselves into the episode. So they would actually get to take on the role of Lucy or, or Desi, and just get to experience the episode from their point of views. But then they're also allowed to reenact the episodes. And so with that, we find that having this immersive experience, they're free from distractions, and it increases information retention. And then with the second part is that we're going to have staff at the comedy festival that's put on by the museum in Jamestown. They're going to go around with 360-degree cameras and stereoscopic cameras. And then this will allow patrons to actually be able to experience the festival. They'll be able to move around the festival and actually see the different performances that are happening in real time. And then this was kind of an example of how that actually would work out. So with this, they'd have the performance going on, and they'd be able to move around with their headset, and it's just like if they were actually there. So the second part is the browsing and interacting with the exhibits. Now, we're going to take the same technology we used at the festival and apply it to our exhibits, and this will allow patrons to actually be able to pick up the artifacts, pretend to put on the suits or different outfits, and just be able to get more information just simply by interacting with that. And by doing that, it allows, the museum and the library to get rid of the possibility of having damage done to the artifacts, and it actually, makes them feel more involved with the whole exhibit as opposed to just looking at it behind the glass. And then the third part is, on average, people in the Los Angeles area spend about 102 hours in traffic a year. And by having our van wrapped with the library's logo, the contact information, and the social media links, we're basically getting free advertising to a captive audience. And then another part of it is that many people aren't able to actually travel to Chatsworth during our normal operating hours. So by having a mobile extension, we can bring the library to them, which increases our patron base and allows, communities that would never get to experience, VR and everything, actually get to have fun and interact with these technologies while also promoting our library. And then a second part would be when we're fostering partnerships with other colleges and campuses and other community events, we can actually go and have a mobile station that is an extension of our library be there. So this way they can actually see what the library is about, get to try on, different activities and things that we're hosting. And it's just, just promotes the library overall. Okay, and then with that, we have a $796,000 one-time fee to get the whole station set up. And the only ongoing cost would be the $64,000 for 2 employees, which we're actually going to reassign 2 employees from our public relations department to strictly be on the mobile VR station. And then for the evaluation, we're going to have patron feedback and comment cards, but we're also going to take analytics from what episodes are we finding that our patrons are actually viewing the most, and then we can specifically tailor everything around what they actually use versus having to have this giant catalog. And then if there's any questions or anything, we could take those now, but in the meantime, here's our I Love Lucy credits. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound. No, yes.
No sound.
Well, it would be playing the I Love Lucy end credit sounds, which is, you know, pretty cool.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, so that's basically our strategic plan. So if there are any questions.
Good job, guys. Looks awesome.
Thank you.
Glenn, did you do the artwork on the bus?
I did.
I thought so. I just thought so. And do you have experience with virtual reality?
I
You
do.
talk about it so intelligently with, what do you do with virtual reality now?
I'm actually a user, so I just, you know, I've been using it for a while. We just got a station hooked up in my house now, and then
In your house?
yeah,
Okay.
but it's not as expensive as it used to be now. So I got the whole setup done for about like $650 or so.
Oh, good grief. How fun.
We're kind of tech geeks at my house. So.
That's very exciting.
Yep.
That was fun. The whole thing was fun, but you did a great job. I really appreciate it. And I think that you should contact the Lucille Ball Foundation and find out about this.
Well,
Why not?
That'd be a good idea.
Why not? I mean, who knows? Y'all could get famous and I could say I knew you then.
I would love that as a Lucy fan. That would be the best thing ever.
Why don't you try it? Why not? What could you lose? I mean, you, like you say, the location happens to not be perfect, but maybe they'll move the house for you out of the out of that district and put it somewhere very cool. I think you should do it.
Cool.
Just for fun. See what happens. See if you get it would be fun just to apply, I think, and see if you got any reaction from them whatsoever. Because y'all have great ideas.
Thank you.
Fun.
Thank you.
Go for it. Everybody should give it a try. Anything that they have presented, see what you can make out of it. See what will happen. Great. Thank you. Fine. Everybody did a great job. I don't mean to pick on Glenn here, but thank you.
Glenn also made the credits, so yes, that was great.
Yes. Good to have a techie around.
All right, awesome. So we have Public Library Team 1.
Yep. 1 second.
Okay, let me know if you need any help with getting your presentation going. There you go.
Can everybody see it?
Yep, looks good. Can take it away.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Nisha. We are Public Library Team 1. We have chosen a fictitious library called Omnium Gatherum, which means a miscellaneous gathering of people and or things. And in our group, we have Daniel, Vernon, and myself. So just a little bit about Omnium Gatherum. It's in the middle of it's in a middle-class neighborhood with many high-rise residential buildings that surround the area. There's a couple of elementary schools nearby and a high school. The demographic profile of this community has a population of around 120,000, and the cost for this branch would be about 3.5 million. We serve our community with a high level of professionalism and kindness, and the primary customers include young families, seniors during the day, teens, and school-age families after school in the evening. Our services include, in addition, our more unique services include musical instrument lending, vinyl records, sound recording equipment plus recording studio, DJ equipment, video games plus various gaming systems, board games, which range from simple to difficult and all different age levels, a cafe, and it's open until 2 a.m. There are about 20 public computers with internet access, and a full Adobe Creative Suite. There is free Wi-Fi at this library, 2 scanner photocopiers, microphone speakers, MacBooks for the sound recording and DJing, and meeting rooms with projectors and sound systems for programs and public rental. And our collection includes a broad range of topics and formats. There will be print books, ebooks, DVDs, CDs, records, as there is a musical instrument library, video games from a variety of platforms, board games, which will be a large focus for this collection. There'll be all sorts of board games, and more will be added continually. The musical instrument library means there will be a variety of instruments, as well as sheet music, instructional manuals, and recorded music. Collection development will be essential as a process of identifying the strengths and weaknesses of our collection, and it'll help with future choices when choosing material as Omnium Gatherum grows and changes. And now on to Daniel with the mission statement.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about our mission statement. So one of the things we want to emphasize with it is that it bridges the gap with the digital divide and empowers users. That's something that's really important with our collection and our services. But yeah. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our SWOT analysis. So our internal strengths, one of our biggest strengths is our staff. In any organization, your staff is probably your most important thing because that's what the public interacts with. Also, our facility is brand new. You saw the mock-up that we had in the first slide that looks beautiful. And our working hours are also a very, very important part of what makes our branch unique. We're open till 2 a.m. to provide service. So people aren't, looking for things to do. They can come to the library, play board games, use computers, whatever. Also, we have access to lots of technology, like a lot of cutting edge things like maker spaces and that. But onto our weaknesses. So we have a narrow scope of programs. So compared to other libraries, we just don't have the amount of users that so we can offer a huge amount of things. One of our biggest weaknesses is our limited marketing, and this ended up turning out into being one of our strategic areas and our action plan. So this, our marketing was mainly just done internally, internal advertisement, nothing really out in the community, and that's one of the things we want to address with that. And lack of strategic planning. This is why we're doing the strategic plan, obviously, and limited digital services. Digital services like ebooks and e-resources are one of the fastest growing usage of collection in most public libraries, and this is important. Although one of the downsides to this is that it's very expensive, and being in a small town of about 120,000, it can be very difficult to budget for these. For our opportunities, one thing we want to emphasize is forging partnerships with local organizations and businesses, as well as other libraries. With sharing of resources and data, I mean, it could be very beneficial for both organizations. And just staying on top of evolving technology will help the libraries cut costs, add new and exciting programs, and staying on the leading edge of it. Again, marketing and promotion. An opportunity we have with this is to work with community partners that we forge our partnerships with in order to, get that marketing out there, advertise on buses or in, community centers, things like that. And another thing we identified is the ability to possibly expand to another branch. With only one branch in this small town, it seems big enough that it may be able to support another small neighborhood branch. And on to our external threats. So the first two are kind of similar regarding budgets. So most states and city budgets have been being reduced over time. Just in general, people want to cut down taxes and things like that, and that can affect funding for libraries. And the global economy ups and downs, recessions can have a negative impact on service delivery, and that we want to. One of our strategy areas for that was to provide other revenue streams in order to keep our service delivery up. Staying relevant. So a lot of there's a lot of talk out there that people saying that we don't need libraries, but providing unique services is key to libraries staying relevant. If it's just books, it has to evolve with technology in that. And another threat is the demographic changes. If there's a lot of kids and teens that use our library, but if that changes, it can affect our usage, and that can affect our funding as well. And these are strategic outcomes and strategies. So marketing, revenue sources, volunteering, technology, and community is what we chose for that. And I'm going to pass it on to Vernon for the action plan.
Vernon?
Vernon?
Vernon disappeared.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm not seeing him in the participants
Yeah, he was
list.
there just 1 minute ago, though. So I
Oh.
think he's back. I mean, he really was. I mean,
Yeah, I checked before we started.
Whoever email him and tell him to come back. Well, he may have something may have happened.
Yeah, it was probably, I imagine, a connection problem or something like that.
I'll message him real quickly.
Yes. We'll wait. Y'all were very polite and waited for me. We'll wait for him.
I can't see anyone. That's okay.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone.
No worries.
Okay. My section I'll talk to you tonight about is the action plan and the limited marketing section of our SWOT. The library has limited inconsistent marketing efforts. What I'm going to talk to you about is the sections where we are providing the information for libraries to evaluate education relevance by making class visits, schools, attend PTA meetings, and placing flyers on community boards. Placing flyers on the community boards is one of those things that people will grab. They grab a flyer or something off the board, and then they'll look at it, read it, pass it on. Hopefully, they use it, and we benefit from that. Attending PTA meetings that will give us an opportunity to outreach at the schools and mainly to talk with the parents and the teachers and possibly administrators to create some sort of partnership with them, and to also help spread the word about our library and what we have to offer. The branding of our programming, we will try to use like catchy names for our programs, titles such as Game On, Connect with Your Child with the Game. The point for that would be there are studies been done where games are vital in helping people, develop certain skills, life skills, and probably the best form of advertisement or marketing would be the use of placing ads on mass transit. When you can put a stamp of your library or your information about your library on the back of a bus that's moving slow for hours, and people, they have to stop and ride behind these buses for on the bus. And a lot of times, advertisers. Oh, next slide. I'm sorry. A lot of advertisers will also see that. And for our description, the goal is to develop an exciting marketing plan. Because of external threats, marketing our programs and service will show the value of our library and what we can offer. Here are two graphics of what our library will be about. One of our sections will be gaming. In this case, the graphics show video gaming. The top slide is actually somewhat of a history of video games or gaming consoles, and that was put on display to so that people see, look at the gaming consoles. And on the bottom, it shows a gathering, which is part of the name of our branch, our library. And it shows that there's a group of kids, sitting there playing this video game, and chances are they're going to make some type of social connection. Our outreach plans will promote awareness of our library and all of these resources that we have here. Next slide. Evaluations. Our marketing plan will be measured on certain statistics. It will be measured by programs, how well our programs are being used, how well they're being accepted, our services, our resources. Our resources be tracked by how much people will check them out, use them in the library, and the uses that they get from them. The programs, however, they will consist of, say, like we have a program so children can come in or people can come in, and then they can sit and beat on a drum, strum on a guitar, speak at a microphone, or just kind of have fun with it. And the way we would measure that would be through surveys and feedback. We evaluate the data, determine what was effective and what was not, and if the data proved to be negative, we will adjust and improve or go in a different direction. Also, our data points will be evaluated through circulation year to year, advanced in the programs, and attendance in programs, and overall use of the library. I would like to kind of close with saying, learning never stops. It just evolves. At the Optimum Gallerum Public Library, which serves a small and diverse community, it is a place that will inspire creativity. And that's, that as information professionals, libraries, You know, that's what we're all about. We want to, you know, get people in from, you know, from the ground up, from babies to adults, and teach them to learn the library. Thank you. And if there are any questions, we're open to questions.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say thank you to everyone for listening.
Yes.
And again, I apologize.
Not
you
your
know,
fault. Not your fault.
It freaked me out, I have to tell you, because it flustered me a bit, but I tried to go through on my phone and everything, but.
Well, see, you were trying everything, and that's what it's all about. It's a learning process. So, and that might be a good thing for everybody to do, to have their phone ready as backup. That's a very good idea. Maybe I'll even write that into my syllabus. That's,
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna add that into the presentation. No, you did an excellent job, Vernon. I'm super impressed, because that's definitely hard to come back from, and you did an awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you.
and remember that one of the things that I said over and over again, it's not that something goes wrong, it's how well you handle it when it goes wrong. And you did a beautiful job of it. You came right in, jumped right in, and we just had paused it for a little bit, and it worked out just fine. So that's just a note to everyone. Just keep on going. Good job, Vernon. Extra special congratulations to you for handling it well, and for your team to stick with you. They knew you were coming back. We had no doubts.
Right, and I appreciate that, everybody.
Great teamwork, everybody. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vernon. Thanks, Danielle.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, and I think that was the last group, unless there is another surprise group, which I apologize for not seeing that on the discussion board. That was totally my oversight.
But you handled that well, and everyone was here, and the show went on. So it's all such a learning experience. That's why we're doing it. And so I really appreciate everybody's help and everybody's excellent work. And I hope that all of those who are listening and who are going to listen to the recording, I'm excited that you will continue to get comments. And I am going to look immediately at the recording and find out what the recording recorded, and we'll know more. And I'll get right back with the first team and Emily. Stay on board. You know, I'll be in touch with you if we have any complications at all about how we can rectify it, if there is any issues.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your evening. And for those of you on Eastern time zone or other time zones like me, that you're have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Okay.